Meet Michigan by David B. McConnell and George Rasmussen. Becoming a State, Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Ideas to Explore, the War for Independence and the Beginning of the United States. People to meet, King George III. Those 3 lines mean the third. Daniel Boone, General Anthony Wayne, President George Washington. Words to welcome: independence, liberty, a core democratic value. Liberty was important to those who started our country. They put the words on our first coins. At the bottom, you will see the British and the Americans timeline. In 1760, the British take Michigan from the French. 1775, the War for Independence starts. Americas fight the British. 1783, the War for Independence ends. The United States begins as a nation. That's in 1783. 1796, the British finally leave Michigan. Becoming a state. It was not easy. Think about this while you read. How did the War for Independence change Michigan? The U.S. becomes a nation. You have learned a lot about Michigan, but it was not yet a state. It is now 1770. Our country has not even been started. Before Michigan can be a state, the United States has to be a nation. This key event has to take place first. A key event may unlock the reason something happens later. At this time, George III was king of Britain. The people here did not like a king telling them what to do. They did not like being told that they could not move west. They did not like paying taxes to the British. The people wanted to be free. They wanted to start their own country. The British had 13 colonies in America. These were along the Atlantic Ocean. These colonies wanted to be free. In the spring of 1775, they started to fight for their freedom. This fight was called the War for Independence. Independence means not to be ruled by someone else. Colonies also wanted liberty. Liberty is a core democratic value. Liberty means to do what you wish as long as it does not hurt anyone. It is the freedom to do anything that is not against the law. The British use Michigan. Michigan was not one of the 13 colonies. Most of the fighting was far from Michigan. Still, British soldiers were here, and they used Michigan as a base. The British sent their soldiers from Detroit and had the tribes help them. These men attacked the colonies. Sometimes American settlers were kidnapped by the tribes. A few of these were brought to Detroit. Daniel Boone was one of them. He was a famous pioneer and explorer. The Native Americans caught him and were proud of it. The fort at Mackinac is moved. The Americans made plans to march to Michigan. This worried the British here. The British felt Fort Michilimackinac was too easy to attack. They decided to move the fort. It would be safer on Mackinac Island. They built the new fort on a hill. It had a good view of the harbor. The British could see anyone coming from far away. The new fort was finished in 1871. If you visit the island, you can still see it today. The Americans never marched to Michigan. Detroit was not attacked. The fort at Mackinac was safe. The war ends. The United States begins. Finally, the fighting ended. Peace at last. The War for Independence ended in 1783. The colonies were free from Britain. Each colony became a state in the new United States of America. It started with 13 states. George Washington became the first president. The new country had much land that was not in the 13 states. Michigan was part of that land. It was mostly forest. It was a place where Native Americans lived. There were only a few towns. But the British stay in Michigan. Wait, after the war, the British did not leave Michigan. They stayed in their forts. They traded for furs with the tribes. They even gave them guns so they could fight American settlers. Maybe the British felt they could weaken our new nation. This was not fair. Michigan did not belong to the British now. The Americans were fed up. President George Washington took action. He sent an army west. The general in charge was Anthony Wayne. In 1794, there was a huge battle in Ohio. General Wayne fought the British and Native Americans there. He won the battle. In 1796, the British left Michigan. The tribes made peace with the Americans, at least for now. Now, there were American soldiers in the fort at Detroit. They also stayed at Mackinac Island. They kept watch because the British were not far away. Canada still belonged to them. The enemy was just across the river. General Wayne leaves his name behind. General Wayne remained at Detroit for about 4 years. Then he left to go back home. Sadly, he died on the trip. People were proud of General Wayne. They were proud of what his soldiers had done. They named Wayne County after the general. Today, this county has more people than any other in Michigan. 1796, Michigan was now a part of the new United States. Who has been in charge? The tribes lived here by themselves for thousands of years. They were here much longer than anyone else. The French were a big part of our past for 140 years, from 1620 to 1760. The British were in charge for about 36 years, from 1760 to 1796. How long has Michigan been a part of United States? It has been since 1796. You do the math. Tell how many years that has been. The British were a bridge between the days of the French and the time of the Americans. The British left behind many ideas we use today. We speak their language. We use many of their laws. We follow many of their customs. When the United States took over, big changes started. For a long time, Michigan was a land of Native Americans. There were few settlers and towns. There were almost no roads. Soon, all of this will change. Michigan will start to grow in a hurry. Many new people will move here. They will make Michigan their home. Trees will be cut down and cabins built. Some people will say this is progress. Others will not. Think about it, write about it. Number 1, name a key event that had to take place before Michigan could become a state. Number 2, Americans fought a war for independence. Give one reason why they did this. Number 3, whose soldiers were in Michigan during the war for independence? Number 4, why did the British move their fort to Mackinac Island? Number 5, which general finally forced the British to leave Michigan? When did this happen? Make a chart today. Make a chart. Compare how long France, Britain, and the United States have been in charge of Michigan. Label each part of the graph. Be a geographer. Make a simple map of Michigan. Draw Wayne County on the map. Put Detroit on your map. Label each of them. Think like a historian. Focus on the war for independence. What happened? When did it happen? Why did it happen? Who was there?